Today on Eyewitness Newsmakers, Los Angeles District Attorney Jackie Lacey, in her second term, leading the nation's largest prosecutor's office. The LA Police Commission changes policy, releasing body camera video to build public trust. We'll ask why the DA opposes the move. But she released video when she announced a long-awaited decision on the deadly police shooting in Venice.
We have chosen to decline to file this case against former officer Clifford Proctor.
Today, the DA will speak to the video to explain her decision. The DA has set up a special task force investigating allegations of sexual assault in the entertainment industry. We'll ask about Prop 64 and prior pot convictions. Is there a way to wipe the slate clean? And voters approve measures to relieve prison overcrowding. Who's getting out? Is the crime rate going up?
ABC 7 presents Eyewitness Newsmakers with Adrienne Alpert.
Good morning, I'm Adrienne Alpert, wishing you a very happy Easter. My guest, Los Angeles District Attorney Jackie Lacey, thank you and welcome back to this program.
Good morning, good to be back.
And we'll talk about this decision first and foremost, because for the first time now, we have you here to look at the video that you did release and to discuss your reasons for declining to file charges. You declined to file charges against former Los Angeles police officer Clifford Proctor in the fatal shooting of Brendan Glenn in Venice in 2015. You said there was insufficient evidence.
Right. I mean, it was all about the evidence for me, Adrienne. There was a lot of commentary on this case, as you well know. For the first time in history, the police chief comes out, weighs in, says, "Prosecutor, I think you have a criminal case and you ought to file it." And obviously the community was very interested in this case. The Venice community is a very vocal community. But it's my job as a prosecutor, and think about it, if your liberty were on the line, for me to look at all of the evidence and make a determination. There were 10 witnesses out there that night. And we looked at the video, we interviewed those 10 witnesses, as well as looked at some DNA evidence. And we came to the conclusion that there was insufficient evidence to overcome a claim by Officer Proctor that he shot Mr. Glenn in self-defense.
Let's take a look at some of that video now. Let's take a look at the first clip. What's going on here?
This first clip that we released, we just wanted to show you the demeanor of the suspect. You know, the police were called out. They didn't go looking for him. You can see him stumbling, sort of. We got a complaint from patrons and visitors visitors to the restaurants.
Brendan Glenn, did he have this dog? Was this his dog?
Yes, this is his dog. It appears to be his dog. There's some woman who has the dog. But this is their first encounter, and you can see he is belligerent. He is yelling at folks, yelling at the officers, and they're trying to get him to move
And
along.
what brought the officers to this location?
It was a call. It was a call from the owners of the restaurants there. Mr. Glenn had been in there drinking. He was bothering people, and they wanted the police to stop it.
All right, so that's how the police were called in. Let's take a look at the next video now and see what's going on here. This is a surveillance camera.
Right, this is right outside the nightclub. There was a nightclub that this occurred. And you can see there, the two or three guys are one bouncer, a couple of people going to the club, as well as other folks standing around. There's part of the 10 witnesses. One witness you can't see was parking his car, but you can see they're starting to struggle. They were trying to get him to be arrested peacefully. This is their second encounter. They take him to the ground. You can see the officers both put their weight on him with their knees, but he resists.
He's resisting arrest.
Right.
So now in this third and most crucial video, what's going on here?
Well, you can see they're really trying to get control of him, but they can't. He actually throws them off. Officer Proctor leans back, he's stumbling, and he feels that, well, I can't speak for him, but it looks like Brendan Glenn has his arm looped around Karahara's leg, which is a way to throw someone off the balance.
And so he shoots him.
Yeah, he shoots him.
And now he's doing what?
He's trying to give him CPR. You can see him trying to, revive or save the suspect who's been shot. But you also see what's important in this video is Karahara. Karahara is winded. He is stumbling back. He is looking, for some reason, he's feeling on his gun to see where his gun is. And his pants leg is up, exposing what's called the backup weapon on his ankle.
So that's evidence that there was certainly a serious enough struggle that, again, the officer who you're not charging, you felt that was the threat that he felt. And this final video, let's take a look at that. This is blocked by a sign. That M is on a sign. But why are we looking at this? What are we seeing?
We're looking at it because you can see a little bit of the legs and some arms underneath there. I think that this one, some people looked at it and thought that at the shooting that the suspect's hands were on the ground. That's not what we see. We think it's inconclusive and that he was crouching up and had his hands on or near the area where Officer Karahara's gun would have been.
And finally, let's, because there was, after your decision, a comment from Police Chief Charlie Beck, and I want us to have a quick listen to that.
I respect our DA very much. She is a personal friend, but I disagree with her on this decision. I have not reviewed the entire document put out by the District Attorney's Office today, but I will, and I will give a more detailed opinion at that time.
All right, the chief said this was a chargeable offense. The city settled with Glenn's family for $4 million. Why not just go ahead and file the case and let the jury decide?
You know, first of all, I respect the chief. He and I have a good working relationship. But it wasn't his call. He did not have all of the available evidence that we had. And I invite him to read our 89-page report, or invite people who are viewing this to do it, because it's detailed, it gives a lot of the information. But the question of what a civil case has to do with it, or just filing a case on a whim, the civil matter has a different question and a lower standard of proof. And you never know why the city settles. I've been involved in several different settlements from county matters, and there's a number of different things that can go into it, none of which is, are you guilty criminally? But it's the job of the prosecutor not to leave it up to the jury and just throw any case in there. And we do take tough cases to trial. We have convicted officers of crime on duty and off. But it's my job to look at it and see ethically, can I file it? And can I prove beyond a reasonable doubt to 12 jurors?
You know,
I couldn't in this case.
It certainly, you know, people have questioned your decision. You've had the South LA shooting of a mentally ill man. You've had the Skid Row shooting of a homeless person, all unarmed black men.
Right.
People say that you've got a bias in this.
All right. That's unfortunate they say that. I don't think that's true or accurate. You know, unconscious bias is something I've made a priority in my office. I've had everybody go through training by some experts, because I believe unconscious bias does exist. But if you know that there is a bias, it's your job to really eliminate it and look at things fairly and squarely. And that's what I do, Adrian, in every single case that's before me. I really do get into the weeds. And when I say get into the weeds, I look at the law of Graham versus Connor every time. I challenge my prosecutors. I don't just let them put something in front of me and let them sign. I sign it. I make them go to the mat, and I listen to every witness interview in this case as well as in prior cases. We do have a problem in this country of bias against people of color, particularly men of color, and we have to do everything we can, of course, in the justice system to correct that. But at the end of the day, with each individual case, you really have to look at, was this person guilty? And that's what I did.
Now, one of the things that, of course, we're talking about is this video that has been released. The police commission just recently has now ordered that within 45 days after any incident, that any kind of video surveillance camera on the body cameras in the squad cars all be released. There's, I guess, some kind of 2-week postponement allowed in sensitive cases. What do you think of that?
You know, as a citizen, of course, and I am a private citizen, I think the more information you get, the more you're going to trust the police. If they did nothing wrong, of course, you want to see it. But as an advocate, because I'm your lawyer on the front lines on criminal cases, you release that video before I have a chance to send an independent investigator to talk to witnesses who are reluctant to talk to the agency, then you have damaged my case. You have exposed them to information that I cannot test them on. I don't know whether they got it from actually being there, Adrian, or from looking at a video on television over and over again. And so I opposed it because I think it hurts justice in this case. Yes, the public wants to know what's going on, but what we all want more than anything is justice in these cases. And when you use video over and over again, it has been proven to corrupt witnesses as well as biased jurors. And it'll make it harder for me to do my job when I do get the case that I feel should be filed.
Would there have been a more reasonable period of time that you would have agreed to besides the 45 days initially?
You know what? One of the things I'm grateful for is the police commission did give me the opportunity to write in and say, withhold this one, it's different. So we're going to use that, and we're going to ask for that. But the truth of the matter is LA is huge. There are a number of police incidents, more than anywhere else in the country. And it's hard to predict how long it will take. A lot of times, we won't even get the case in the DA's office for a year. And then it won't be complete. Like in Proctor, people continually say, you've had the case for 3 years. That is absolutely false. That is absolutely false. We've had the parts of the case, but we didn't get the complete case until about a year ago. And so it takes time. We're very thorough. But I think overall, the release of video you will see will have some adverse and unintended consequences on the justice system.
All right, we're going to have to take a break right now. We will talk about investigating and who should be investigating cases with the Sacramento shooting. Back with more right after this.
You're watching Eyewitness Newsmakers.
Talking to District Attorney Jackie Lacey. Gun control, gun violence we'll be talking about in a moment, but I want to talk about the whole idea of who should be investigating shootings in Sacramento. The shooting of an unarmed black man. The Sacramento police chief has referred that out to the Attorney General, the state's Department of Justice, saying let's have another set of eyes look at this. Would that work here?
I think it would. We actually have some, first of all, I commend Chief Hahn for having the courage to say that the AG can investigate. We've actually talked with local law enforcement about implementing that here in LA. It has been rejected. I think that having an investigation conducted by an independent agency, not your own, would serve two purposes. One, it would of course, allow the public to have some confidence. But two, if you can imagine investigating your own, I've listened to a lot of the interviews and tapes where they're done in-house, and you see a lot of suggestion and leading that occurs with use of force investigators. So it's something I'm in favor of. I still think state prosecutors should prosecute it, and that's what they're doing in Sacramento. Even though the AG is going to investigate, the prosecutor still retains the jurisdiction to prosecute, but I think it can only help.
So when you said you liked the idea, but then you couldn't get it through, who was it that made the decision you couldn't do it?
Well, you know, it's right now I'm under an MOU. So right now we have an MOU that says LAPD can investigate itself using use of force.
MOU being a memorandum of understanding.
And the same with the Sheriff's Department. We have our own investigators. We have about 270 sworn investigators called the Bureau of Investigations. What I'd like to do is maybe see if it's an LAPD shooting, see an officer from our office, a detective from our office with the Sheriff's Department looking into that. And I think you'd see better quality investigations. I don't know if the results would change, but certainly you would see less leading, less suggestiveness, and the public would have more faith in those investigations.
Who would have to make that decision? County supervisors?
It would be the Chief of Police of LAPD and the Sheriff of LA County.
All right, and so far you've not convinced them.
No, but I mean, you know, it's a good, I think we ought to start the discussion again. Now, I still think our office ought to prosecute them. We're not part of LAPD. We're not part of the sheriff. We prosecute our share of those folks. But I think that it might be time to look at this.
All right, let's go to our next topic on immigration. The Orange County Sheriff is beginning to publish a list of inmate release dates in opposition to the revision of California's sanctuary state law that limits communication between local authorities and immigration authorities. He's going to make that list of everybody getting released. But that way you can see if there's somebody who's a felon who's here illegally getting released. What do you think of that idea?
I think I'm disappointed, quite frankly. I'm disappointed because it's a way to thwart the law. Look, if we're in law enforcement, we got to be the first people to say you're going to obey the law, right? And that sanctuary law has a lot of safeguards that were negotiated with law enforcement, such as if you have a serious or violent felony and you're getting out, those names will be published. If you have a driving under the influence charge or domestic violence charge, any of those things that we are worried about, Adrian, but to just indiscriminately publish the names, you're inviting ICE, first of all, to use their resources unnecessarily on lower level offenders or people who are not charged. And you're trying to thwart the law. And I just, in general, I think that's wrong. I think if you don't like the law, get in there and change it. But don't do things to thwart it. And I'm worried. I'm worried about my witnesses who won't show up or won't report crimes because they're fearful of ICE coming to get them.
Next one to talk about gun control and gun violence. Senate bill, State Senate Bill 1281, the Juvenile Gun Safety Act. That is State Senator Henry Stern of Canoga Park, but also you co-sponsoring this.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I'm trying to do what I can't. School for me, when I was growing up in South LA and went to Dorsey House, that used to be a place of safety. You worried about walking to and from school, but not in the school. And once again, this is what we see as doing our part. I don't want guns in school. I don't want students to have guns, and this will help keep guns out of the hands of juveniles who shouldn't have them at all.
And it's also a juvenile had a violent offense. They can't have their records sealed.
Right. Correct. But, you know, it's because we need to know that information for the future.
All right. They're telling us we need to take a break right now. We're going to take a break and be back with the district attorney with more topics. Stay with us.
You're watching Eyewitness Newsmakers.
Some final thoughts with District Attorney Jackie Lacey. The Entertainment Industry Harassment Sex Assault Task Force, you created this last November. It's investigating the Harvey Weinstein case and many others. What's the purpose of this task force?
You know, the purpose of it is to really look at a lot of these cases that are coming in. Once Harvey Weinstein broke, we began to get a flood of cases that came into our office. Some of the cases are beyond the statute of limitations, some are not, and we wanted our best and brightest team to look at those cases, give them a fair shot, and look for creative ways to investigate them. So that's what we're doing.
When these cases are this cold, and there's certainly, even if it's within the statute, a lack of evidence, how do you prosecute a case
The
like
same
this?
we do almost with any other sex crimes case. A lot of times sex crimes occur in where there's just two people, the perpetrator and the victim. But you can look for diaries, journals, independent witnesses, corroborations of other parts of the victim's story to get those filed. And we wanted to make sure that our office did the best we could on all these cases.
All right, we're going to get to another topic here. When voters approved Prop 64, allowing for adult recreational use of marijuana, it also addressed the idea of prior pot convictions. Right. And in San Diego, San Francisco, district attorneys now are looking at reducing some of those charges that were serious crimes at the time. You're not taking that stand. Why?
You know what? We are. This is the biggest miscommunicated public story I've ever seen in my life. They're screening them. What they're doing is they're not waiting for a motion to reduce it. We are waiting for motions to reduce it, and we're helping some people file those motions. We're part of a task force. But think about it, Adrian. A lot of these people are represented by defense attorneys. We're the prosecutors. We would have to ask them a lot of questions to get through the screening process. And I personally am uncomfortable violating some of their rights and doing that. I'm not supposed to represent them. So we're being proactive. We've got a gazillion more cases than San Francisco or San Diego, and we are working and have worked to dismiss a lot of those cases. And if anybody's out there listening, please go and file the paperwork. We will screen it, and you can get it dismissed.
So 40,000 cases you've got here.
At least.
So that means that people just need to file their petition to bring it before you, and you'll pay attention to that.
That's it. And we have helped. But we really feel like the Board of Supervisors should have given money to the public defenders, much the way they did in Prop 47, and ran clinics, much the way they're doing now, to help people get these expungements. Some of the people you're going to find, I hope people go back and look at San Francisco, look at San Diego. You may find that some dead people got their cases dismissed. Why are we wasting time on that? Why are we doing that? Or you may find people who had serious and violent felonies already and are in for life, getting their pot conviction dismissed. How silly of a resource is that? So I support that law in terms of it being implemented. The voters voted for it. We'll give people their relief. They've just got to apply for it.
Let's talk about two other prison-related questions. These are Propositions 47 and 57. These were voter approved in response to the overcrowding in our state prisons. And 47 allows for nonviolent criminals early access to parole. Nonviolent in their terms can be rape of an unconscious person, human trafficking, drive-by shooting, assault with a deadly weapon, domestic violence. That's nonviolent by this law. Prop 47 was nearly 4 years ago. Keeps low-level offenders out of jail, was supposed to save money, put that money into diversion programs. What are you seeing as an outcome of these two measures? Has crime gone up?
You know, I always look for a report that comes out of the Public Policy Institute because I think they have the best facts. You'll see a lot of people throwing out that crime is going through the roof, that there's, you know, blood in the streets, and there really isn't if you look at the facts. Property crime is definitely going up. Lock your cars, lock your doors, be careful because people are out there committing those kinds of crimes. With 57, there were some things that should have been in there and that should be corrected. I would hope by the legislature. With 47, I still say, where is the money? Why aren't we seeing more money going into mental health? Why aren't we seeing more money going into substance abuse? We're doing our best to propose options, but I'd like to see more of that savings come back.
Savings of about $100 million, and have you seen any of it?
A little, but not enough. Not enough. It wasn't, you know, just with initiatives, just like with the California lottery. Why aren't our schools better, right? We all voted for that. Same thing with this. We really need to follow the money better. And
again, just in our final question, really, but no clear indication that crime has gone up as a direct result of these measures.
You know what? There are slight upticks some year to the next. I want to see a 5-year measure. I think that'll be more convincing. Property crime going up, violent crime, not really as much as you would think.
All right, Los Angeles District Attorney Jackie Lacey, thank you for coming in. We hope you come back again soon.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
We have a lot more to talk about.
We do.
All right. All right, we'll be right back with a look at who's coming up next week on Eyewitness Newsmakers.
You're watching Eyewitness Newsmakers.
Thank you for joining us this morning for Eyewitness Newsmakers. Next week, our guest, Burbank Congressman Adam Schiff, ranking Democrat on the House Intelligence Committee. If you have comments about this program, we invite you to join the conversation on Twitter and Facebook at ABC7 Adrian. For all of us at Eyewitness News, I'm Adrian Alpert. Thanks for watching.